Good morning, all.
Are we on the screen?
Yeah, I can. Well,
Uh,
I could. I can
oh, yeah, I
see
guess we
us.
are. I guess we are. I don't know what's happening. Well, I certainly. Are you guys seeing the sinking thing on the right?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a sinking allocating some resources on the right that I can't see as being live. It feels like it's uh
Well,
it's
we're on
gonna.
YouTube because I've got
Oh,
YouTube on.
yeah. YouTube is on certainly. So now what the hell is happening? Uh, what the hell is happening? Are we still there?
Yeah. We're still there.
I don't know. I don't know why. This is crazy here. Anyways, well,
You're having the same issues as I had the other day. It was mental.
yeah. Are you guys having the same issues? Because if not, I can just refresh on my end. It might be
No,
just my
but
end.
it looks okay, and I've got Mercury Dime saying it's you're
Okay.
on. You're all on.
All right.
So
Anyways, welcome everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon. Whatever you are in the world. Welcome to NUFC Talk TV live with another live presser. Eddie Howe is going to come out and speak to the media ahead of the important match against Liverpool. Arne Slot as well is live. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting what both managers have to say. But obviously, we are focused on the tune. And Eddie Howe has got a big challenge in front of him. What do we do? What players do we play? It's a big conundrum. I just think it's going to be the same players for this game and the final. I think Arne Slot knows who our best players are, and I don't think there's any surprise there. Um, but this is a very important match for both of those guys. It could be a trial run to what's to come in the final, maybe. So, what do you guys think? Good morning, everyone. Hit the like button, please. Hit the like button.
go on, Win.
Well, I don't want to see the same team. I do want to see Pope in goal. I want to see Dubs in goal. And I think it's time Croft got to start instead of Shea. And obviously we would want Tonali to start this time. And then you've got the only conundrum I would have would be, well, you could argue two, Trips Tino, or Willock or Miley after Miley's performance on Saturday. But Willock had a good game on Saturday as well. They both had a good game. So,
Yeah, I mean, Willock did fade towards the end. To be fair, so did a number of them. But I think the thing for me is the fact that obviously it's a dress rehearsal for the final, isn't it? So it's how each coach. I mean, you've got to take Liverpool just and put them to one side because they've got a squad with depth, and people will argue whether they've got the right, as in quality, regarding the depth. And for me, they wouldn't be where they are in Europe if they hadn't got that. So I think this is definitely a dress rehearsal. For me, is it a case of does Eddie Howe show his hand, or does he just keep it all under wraps? And I think that's the thing. But again, we're at the presser. What can we expect from the journos? Well, as normal, some of the questions are relative. A lot of them aren't. So I'm not expecting too much from that. But for me, if I was Eddie Howe, I would just throw a curveball with this one. If you look at all the odds and the stats, it's heavily stacked against us. When you look at the limitations of the squad, is this one of those Premier League games, as Win has just said, where you put your average players on and give them a run and give your lads of quality a rest? For me, every game is a game that you've got to go out there and try. But for me, I'd also understand Eddie Howe putting a weaker side out.
hang on, I'm not suggesting that making the changes I've made are a weaker side. I want the strongest side possible out.
Well,
Yeah,
what
but
I'm
you're not
saying
going
to
to be
you
able
is,
to though.
if you're throwing the likes of Kraft in, who can't get a game on a regular basis, regardless of whatever happens elsewhere,
But I'm
that
saying
would be deemed as a lesser player, wouldn't it? That's what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, because obviously, it is. I mean,
No, I'm
actually,
saying
Kraft to a
Shea
certain
has
extent.
not been performing lately.
Yeah, But so your
I'm not
case is
suggesting for 1 second that we're putting a weekend
for,
side out.
well. First of all, why are you yelling, man? What's the matter with you? You yell at night. You yell early. What the hell? Relax, man. I mean, Steve is asking you what kind of lipstick are you using because you look pretty,
Woohoo.
they look
Hang
pretty
on, I
good.
looked anemic yesterday, and now I'm looking as though I'm wearing lipstick.
Oh man, yeah.
Well, I am, so
Well,
there you go.
you got. It looks like you got a few pints of blood in you overnight. But look, uh, I think that it's also valid that Eddie might want to put a weaker side or a different side. The starting 11 is the starting 11. I mean, that's like we don't have two squads that are the same level. So if you make adjustments, it's going to be weaker than the one before. Plain and simple. You know,
Well, I completely disagree with that.
how can you say that?
Because
We don't have.
I don't think putting trips in for Livramento weakens the side. I don't think at this moment in time that putting Kraft in for Share weakens the side. I certainly don't think putting Dubs in for Pope weakens
Yeah,
the
but
side.
wait. Dubs is not
And
a.
there's an
It's not a
argument.
sub.
There's an argument to say that putting Miley in for either Willock or J7 doesn't weaken the side the way J7
Well,
was
nah,
playing
nah,
before he
nah.
was injured.
See that
And
now
what
you're.
about even Miley in for Bruno?
What are you talking about now? It's all of a sudden Bruno is. Jesus, man, we go from one extreme to another. I swear to God.
I mean, Steve's put a valid point in, I suppose. I mean, obviously on that comment about putting a weaker side in, he's alluded to we can do that on Saturday, and for me, are we a club that's vying for cup glory? Because, like I say, for me, you can't take the Carabao Cup final as a given. So I would look at. Listen, at the end of the day, we're not going to get top spot. You know, we know that we're too far behind regarding points, even though it's not mathematical at the minute. We know that we are too far behind Liverpool now.
Get
So
3 points
me,
off them tomorrow night, and it's all different.
well, I don't know about that win, to be fair. But, for me, it's a case of if Eddie Howe wants a good cup run, is tomorrow one of those where he completely throws the curveball and, like I say, throws a team out there of runners that are going to try and get in behind, because that is where Liverpool's weakness has been. They like the press, they like to pull the fullbacks on. We know what Robertson and Trent Arnold, if he gets involved, he likes to be that ball player. He likes to get down the width. And I think if we play the right players tomorrow, and instead of tippy tappy football and trying to say that the ticky tack type of style, is getting behind them on the width, I think there's a chance that there could be an upset tomorrow. It's all according to how we play against Liverpool for me. And like I say, you could have the likes of a Sula on the right wing, somebody who's just going to get stuck in, get involved. And for me, I'm with you, Win. I could bring Trips in, but I'd bring Trips in and play the style that he played against Arsenal at right back rather than that right centre back role against Man City, which he looked absolutely amateurish. And I think that's the difference. We can all look at individual players. For me, it's the style that Eddie Howe plays, I think, where you're going to get the worst or the best out of individuals.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I mean, we're talking. I don't think that Eddie is going to make any adjustments. To be fair, I think Eddie throughout his career hasn't been that type of guy, unless he's been forced by injuries. He plays usually the same guys to a fault sometimes, to a fault. But in this case, I don't really have anything to question. I mean, I think I would actually think it's more useful because Arne Slot, he knows that as much as Mighty Wayne wants to shout, put lipstick on, Miley's not playing the final. These guys he's talking about, they're not playing the final. So I think that it would be more useful for us to go out and give it a run, a trial run against Liverpool away with the best players we got. Arne Slot knows Tonali's going to be playing, Isak's going to be playing, Gordon's going to be playing, Joe Linton is going to be playing. Hopefully he's fit. Everybody says he's going to be fit, so he's going to be playing. Dubravka is going to be played. I would hope Dubravka is going to be played. That's the one that maybe is a maybe because I don't know where to go. Although it's clear to me that Dubravka is the better goalkeeper at the moment. But we've seen things that don't make sense before. Um, so that could be an interesting one. And so I think that's that. I think I don't make switches and adjustments, or maybe say what I'm trying to say is I think Eddie will give a trial to whatever he's going to do in the final. I think he's. I mean, if he might put five at the back tomorrow, and that could tell us maybe. I don't see this the mystery. I don't see it, but I mean, it could happen. It could happen.
I hope Eddie sticks by his guns and goes out to win every match.
Well, of course. I think tomorrow's an important game as well. I mean, if you happen to win it, then now you're in serious. You're in it
Champions League
seriously.
territory.
I mean, we haven't won at Anfield in such a long time, but I think that if you go out there and actually achieve that, I think that is those are big numbers right there.
And what a psychological.
Absolutely, and that's the thing, isn't it? It's that mental message that you get across that they are beatable.
We should have beaten them already.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's it. For me, and I'm going to put hand on heart here, and I'm going to say, for me, the result isn't the be all and end all tomorrow. It's the style of play that's the be all and end all for me. If we can get a team out there that competes and it competes across the park, and I've alluded to this before when I said the guys that we brought in were brought in for the style of play, and that's the high press, to get involved higher up the park. When we go on this back foot, when we retreat and drop deeper and deeper, we don't look like an outfit at all. We are looking more like a mismatched, a team that's literally just been put together and haven't played for a few seasons together now. And that's what I can't sometimes understand with Eddie is that, and I mean, if you're going by Eddie's word, he's often said he doesn't understand the way we played the way we did. But we need to look at the team out there. And like I say, if that is being driven by the captain on the field, then the captain on the field needs a talking to. Because at the end of the day, he should be influencing the boys to push on rather than drop off. And if he's not doing that, then you have to question the armband.
Well, I certainly agree with that. I think there might be an issue that people don't see because we get the results and people don't care about it. But I think it's a big deal when your captain is not being a captain. So what's the point? What's the point? And maybe it's not his thing. It doesn't have to be. It's not bad or good. It's just irrelevant. It's not his thing. But now you've committed that mistake though because now you got to take it away.
Well,
And now what's going to happen to Bruno? Bruno, it's not. That's why he won't take the captaincy away from Bruno because it's
Too
going to be
nice.
a kick in the nuts. It's going to be a kick in
do,
the
do,
nuts.
do you know the one thing I want to see? I want to see some fouls going in.
Yeah, exactly.
How
Bit of shit
many
house.
how many times have we seen teams fouling Gordon and Bruno from the off, and the referee not taking any action? Let's do some of that to Salah.
Well, we're definitely going to have to. I think that's going to be the type of game anyway at Anfield. And to be fair, those are the types of games in finals. Finals are usually not pretty. Finals are not because both teams, the proper teams, are not there to play good, to play pretty, to look good. They're there to win a final. And I think that I think we're going to definitely have to do that against Liverpool. Look, they got a lot of weapons. They got a lot of weapons, and Salah is going to be an issue on the right side, and I think that is why this match is for, to see how do we stop Mo Salah on the right. Who can Lewis Hall do it? He should be able to do it, and that should be his main task. Follow this guy everywhere. Follow him everywhere, even if it doesn't help us on the attack. But we do got really good fast wingers, man. So. That's the issue.
Gordon has led Trent a merry dance the last couple of games.
No, I understand that, but the most dangerous player is Salah. He is the one that will get something out of nothing. he will have a bad game 80 minutes, and then in the 85th he will score. That's those are the guys that are touched by angels, man. That you have to watch all the time. So it's just is a Cristiano Ronaldo, is a Messi, not putting him in that level, but he is really one of the greatest, in the Premier League. Let's be fair. Mo Salah is actually underrated in the Premier League, but he is really up there. So
his record stands for that, doesn't it? I mean, you look at what he's achieved at Liverpool since he's been there.
So those type of guys will have bad games, and even in a bad game, they can destroy you. So we're gonna have to focus on that. I don't think they have a lot of power in the center forward position, so I think we're good as far as Dan Burn and I think Burn is gonna play. I don't know. Botman certainly, if he's ready, Botman should play over Shaw and be in that position. Maybe you can try Kraft. I'm not necessarily disagreeing with that. You can try Kraft and see how he does. But at the end of the day, I don't know that Eddie will put Kraft over any of the other guys if they're all fit. And the right back position is going to be a very good one, because who plays? Who plays? We played the most important so far before the final game with Trippier, and he did amazing. Will he play the final? It's something to talk about, because is Tino grown enough right now to play a final and carry that responsibility on the right side? I don't know.
Well, I like I say, for me, there's more than the person with the armband that leads a team to glory, and I think I always, excuse me, look at the spine of a team, and I want talkers, literally from the goalkeeper through to my centre back, through to my midfield and my deep. And I was telling you where I was sat in the Gallagher end on Sunday, and the beautiful thing, and for me, again, shows a true leader in Tonali. I can just see the presser starting, mate. And it was Tonali then talking to Pope. He come right deep and just said, "Hold the ball, don't run it." You know what I mean? Just calm down. Yeah, I think we need more of that.
All right, then. Well, we got Eddie Howe. Let's get to it. Expend it, win, expend it.
Morning, David. You're right, mine. Morning. Own up here with the Wolves. Yeah. I'm not starting until can't lull me in like that. That's poor from you, actually. Thank God the window's closed, eh? How's things at home, Razor? Sleep? Sleepless. Same for both of you. So be off your game.
Well, refresh. What the hell? That always happens. I hate that. Did they just go off?
Turn on Razor.
You got it. It's good. It's good. It's good. Expend it. Expend it.
Same for both of you. So be off your game today then. Oh, thank God.
The match against Nottingham Forest, obviously a brilliant result for you, took you back up the table, but you weren't too happy with the way the second half played out.
Yeah, second half was in total contrast to the first. I think we struggled with set plays. That was a big part of our game that didn't function well in the second half, and technically we fell off for where the high levels that we were first half. So I think on reflection, I think definite positives to take from that first half. That was us at our attacking best, and lessons to be learnt from the second half.
You've won 13 of your last 16 matches, and you had that brilliant winning sequence over Christmas, but consistency keeps coming up, and it's a word that a lot of supporters are using as well, and perhaps we saw that on Sunday, the inconsistency within a game. How big of an issue do you feel it is or is becoming?
It's been there all season to a degree. I think there's been games where we've been frustrated with ourselves, but then when you mention the statistic 13 wins out of 16, that's not an inconsistent team. I'd certainly take that again in the next next 16 games. But I try to be very honest and acknowledge the fact that we have been inconsistent at times, and Sunday certainly reflected that.
How well will you have to play at Anfield to stand a chance of getting something?
Well, I think we need close to a perfect game from our perspective. Certainly, I think learning from the recent game against Manchester City would be a useful starting point for us, where we didn't execute the aggressive game plan that we wanted. We didn't attack enough. For me, we didn't attack the game well enough. So we need to learn from that. And at Anfield, which is a really great environment to play football, but not a great environment if you're not totally there. So we have to acknowledge that and make sure that we turn up.
And what about the emotional side of it? Because I think the last couple of games you've had there's been a lot of emotion, a lot of feeling in them. There's been perhaps some controversial decisions as well. The atmosphere is always noisy. How important is it for the players to get that side of it right?
Yeah, psychologically huge. I think I'd love to think we can go there and grow from that environment that you talk about. It's an emotional stadium, I think, highlighted by before the game and everything that goes into it. Certainly we're going to need to start the game well. We're going to need to put our foot forward in the game and be aggressive, as I said earlier, and we have to have a threat in the game. We have to attack, so that's what we try to do.
And last question, Sandro Tonali, you mentioned on Sunday that he'd had a slight injury, which is why he was left out of the starting 11. Did he come through the time he had on the pitch okay, and are you satisfied that there's no longer-term problem?
Yeah, he came through fine. I'm anticipating now he'll be fully fit.
Thanks, Rosa. Keith?
Eddie, you said there you need as close to a perfect game as possible. What does a perfect game look like?
How long you got, Keith? Well, we need every aspect of our game to be functioning as it was in the first half, really, against Nottingham Forest, albeit we conceded the first goal. That apart, I thought we responded really, really well. We were free-flowing. We were dynamic, flexible in terms of our tactical play. We showed no fear, and we attacked the game and scored 4 great goals, and in a period of time where we were in a great moment. We had a great flow about us, and we lost that in the second half, and we're going to need that attacking verve that we had in that first period.
And how do you stop Mo Salah, the best attacking player you would suggest in the Premier League at the moment?
Yeah, that's going to be a challenge for us. I think it's always not down to any one individual within the team, although he will naturally come up against a direct opponent. It will be about the team supporting that area of the pitch. I think against Arsenal was a great game to reflect on, the recent home game in the Carabao Cup, where we defended in 2s, 3s, 4s. We had a mentality that we wanted to defend our goal to the highest level. I don't think we've consistently had that in recent weeks, but we're going to need that in this game.
Is there a chance of Sven being involved this week?
Sven's improving, and he's improving quickly, so we'll see whether he makes the game or not. It'll be close.
And how's Martin been after the weekend? Obviously dropping out in place of Nick Pope. Have you had to have a conversation with him?
Yeah, of course I had a conversation with Martin. I think it's always difficult because every player wants to play, and I have many difficult conversations with many players on a regular basis, and that's part of my job. But Martin's a top professional, and he'll respond in the right way.
Just finally from me, the club chairman was there on Sunday, took the match in. It appears there's been a couple of board meetings over the last couple of days. What is your understanding of what went on, and have you managed to speak to the chairman during his time here? Yes,
I've had various conversations with him. I think a lot's been discussed at the various board meetings that you mentioned. Probably not for public consumption. I'll leave that. I wasn't in all of those meetings. I was in some of them. But I'm sure some positive outcomes, and the club will be moving forward.
Thanks, Keith. Andy?
Come on, Eddie. You said you need to go away after Sunday and kind of try and find a solution to these inconsistencies, both in-game and from game to game. So I guess it's only a day later, but have you found any solutions or not?
Well, I think solutions. I think the big thing for me was to try and find out what happened in that game from a mental perspective, because for me it was a mental fall off rather than a technical or tactical issue. And I don't know whether we had half an eye on Wednesday and thinking the game was at 4-1 over. I don't know. I always say in these things, it's never one thing. There's never, you can click your fingers and everything's reversed. It's a case of identifying things and then working on things, and which we will do today in training. We will review in depth as we always do with the players, and then we move forward together. I think overriding that, the most positive thing is what a response from the Manchester City game, where we go 1-0 down. After the Manchester City game, that could have been a difficult moment, but the players gave more, gave extra, and played really well in that first half. So I think that's what I would like to focus on mainly, if that's possible.
Definitely possible. I've racked my brains to try and think of a question that you haven't already been asked about Alexander Isak, so I'll give it my best shot. Faster than the likes of Kane, Aguero, Henry to reach 50 Premier League goals. Does that kind of group, that calibre of players, just sum up how good Alex has been in this time frame?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, because I haven't been asked that before, so well done. I do think it highlights how well he's done when you look at the names that you mentioned there. And also you put that together when he first came to the club here, we'd, if my memory's right, just survived relegation. So it wasn't as if he was joining a team that was right at the top of the league and free scoring in that moment. So we've had to try and become that team. But I just think he's come in with a great attitude to the club. He's come in hungry to succeed, eager to help the team. He's not been selfish in that period. He's not thought of himself. He's always played for the team, and I'm delighted for him.
You said something to me, I think it was around about this time last year, that patience is really important when it comes down to developing younger players. Are we seeing the rewards of that patience? I know we talk about Lewis Marley, but with Lewis Hall, because he was almost back to his best at the weekend.
I think there's patience needed in certain cases. I think every player's different. Every player's development from their teens to their early 20s, it's a crucial stage if you're going to become a regular Premier League player for a club like Newcastle. There's a lot that goes into it. So I think all players will have peaks and troughs. There'll be good bits and bad bits. But I think as long as you're consistent and with your feedback, and we try and develop and help the players if there's areas of their game that need help, that's all we can do, while giving them an environment that they can enjoy and feel comfortable in. These things matter. So with players like Lewis Hall, who has done incredibly well overall, if you take a bird's eye view of his career at Newcastle, I think he's been excellent. And again on Saturday, I thought he attacked brilliantly in that first half with Anthony and with Joe Willock on that left-hand side. He played a key role in us dominating that first period.
Just finally, 5 points now separating third and eighth. For a competitive bloke like yourself, how much are you relishing this level of competition, this challenge with so many teams packed into that European race?
It's very interesting, isn't it? Because if you look at the top, Liverpool, quite a long way clear. This is an interesting mix of teams. Some may be expected to be there. Some have had outstanding seasons. I think just from our viewpoint, we're in there fighting and scrapping for those places, and that's what we continue to do.
Thanks, Andy. We've got Damien Lee and then Ian.
Very good. Just ask about Lewis Miley. Watching him on Sunday, it looked like he's physically bulked out since last season. At one point, there was a burst of pace I've not particularly noticed before. Is it easy because he's so young to forget that he's actually still growing into his body in a sense?
Yeah, very much so. And I think for us, we have to remember that a lot. I think when he played the number of games that he did last year, he looked like he was coping with the load with ease. There looked to be no strain on his body. Now, 17 years old, then he developed a back problem, which was a big blow for him at that stage. So we need to recognise that fact, look after him with the utmost care at this moment in time in his career, because he has the look of a guy in his early 20s. As you say, he's filled out, he looks stronger, quicker, but he's still going through growth spurts, and his body will still be changing on a daily basis. So we need to have that in mind all the time.
And he has the physical stature of a Steven Gerrard, perhaps. What is there a play you would want him to study as he looks to develop his career?
I think it ultimately depends at what position he ends up playing. So for us on Sunday, he played as a number 8, box to box. We want energy, sprinting. We want a lot of physical output in that position as a number 6. He would play with a little bit more control on that physical side of his game. So Stephen Gerrard, I think, is a great one to look at, because I think Stephen had that same frame Louis possesses, but as you said, he had that yard of pace. He could go box to box and he could score goals. So great to see Louis contribute goal-wise. That's 2 goals in a short period of time, and showing that he can do that part of the game, which he's going to need to do in that position.
Thanks, Damien. Lee?
Eddie, you obviously left Dubravka on Sunday, and a couple of other players have been told on the bench. Do you have to have that level of sort of iciness in you now at this stage of the season, where you are going to be upsetting people, and maybe you're not going to be popular around the place?
Oh, really? I've got used to that a long time ago, Lee. If you're after popularity, don't become a football manager. Because you have to make tough decisions and you have to upset people, and it's the last thing that I want to do on a personal level with any of my players, is disappoint them, upset them. But I'm in the position where I have to do that on a daily basis, weekly basis. I can only pick 11. I have a squad of 20 at the moment that's training regularly. And some really tough calls on players that I really admire and really like that aren't playing. So that's the level of squad we have. All I ask is the players accept the decision and then try to force their way back in.
Yeah, if Sven does come back in for this game, I guess it gives you another dilemma of maybe you have to change system, or again go back to making an unpopular call for somebody else.
Yeah, but I think that's what you want. I think you need the competition. You need people performing well to drive standards and to drive the quality of our training and ultimately improve the team. So I think the players know that they have to be on their toes with the standard of the squad now, but also we have a lot of games. Everyone will get their opportunity and continue to get their opportunities to showcase that they should start, whether that's starting the game or from the bench. And that is their moment. And of course, there's training every day, so I see everything. So there's really no excuses. Ultimately, when I pick the team, it will usually be based on what I've seen.
One on Liverpool, they changed formation to, I don't think they'd used formation, whatever it was a strange one at Man City. Does that change your preparation now? Because I think in 25 games they'd had a consistent system.
Yeah, you say that. I think every team has things that they tweak game to game depending on the opponent. There's very few teams in the Premier League now that play the same way week in, week out. It can appear that visually in terms of starting systems, but there's tweaks. And I think Liverpool are one of those teams that do change quite a bit. But it's subtle things. It's not necessarily big shifts in system. I think they've been very consistent with that in that respect. And naturally, when they've been as successful as they are, they haven't had to change too much. They've been in a good moment. Their players have performed very well. Arnie's done an incredible job with the squad. So it doesn't change too much from our perspective, because we're always looking at these things and seeing what we need to do to try and win the game.
Thanks, Lee. We've got to Ian, George, and then Luke.
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
Virgil van Dijk in the last couple of days has come out and said Liverpool need to make Anfield a horrible place for visitors. How do you react to that? And do you think you've got a group of players who thrive in a hostile environment?
Yeah, well, I think their record at Anfield this season's been very strong. So I think whatever they're trying to do, they've been doing it well from their viewpoint. I think we can only look from ours, and from our viewpoint, we have to be mentally very strong in this game. We have to be very clear on what we're trying to do tactically, and we have to have the strength to try and impact our game plan on them.
You mentioned tactics there, and you mentioned Sven Botman could be available again. Would you consider playing all 3 centre-backs like you did in the Carabao Cup second leg?
I consider everything. Whether I actually do it or not, I don't know. But naturally, I think when you've got good players, you're always thinking of ways to get your best players consistently into the team, but not to the detriment of the team. I think that's the key point. It has to work. We felt it would work against Arsenal. I'm sure there'll be other games that will utilise that system.
Thanks, Ian. George?
Morning, Eddie. With
Morning.
the other game on the horizon, which I won't name, does any part of you have to be a poker player tomorrow night?
Well, I was never any good at poker, so there's a bit of breaking news for you. No, I don't think so. I think this game in isolation takes preference over any future game that we have. So we'll look at this game in total isolation and just try and deliver something that we think can give us the best conditions to try and win. And that will be the same for any future games we have. So we're not trying to be clever. We just want to try and win this game.
And then obviously not expecting state secrets or anything here, but in terms of your discussions with the chairman, were they supportive? Were they encouraging? Have you taken heart from those discussions?
Yeah, I always take heart from seeing him and talking with him, because you see his passion for Newcastle and you see how much he directly cares about everything that's going on here. So, no, good conversations. He was in good spirits and enjoyed seeing us win.
Thank you. Luke?
Lewis Miley's come in for a lot of praise. I think he was highlighted on Match of the Day too, which I suspect you didn't watch. But how good can he be, and what are the pitfalls for him as a young player at 18 who's sort of breaking out into the Premier League and getting all that attention?
Well, I didn't watch it because I was in bed asleep at that time, so I could face you guys fresh today.
At a club like Newcastle.
Yeah, well, he can be. I know I say this quite a bit, but he can be anything in the respect that he could really take his position, solidify that position, and be outstanding for us for a number of years. Now he's going to need a bit of luck to do that, because every player needs to stay fit and injury free, and that's why I say we need to look after him, especially in this early moment in his career. I think that's important, and I take that duty seriously. But he has all the technical capabilities and, most importantly, the mental capabilities, and he's shown that. Played some huge games, but played them just normally like he does in training, which is a huge compliment. He can do a little bit of everything, Louis. He's got the running capacity, the big lungs and it'll enable him to physically produce what he needs to produce in those positions. He's very composed in training. He's one of our best technical players. So I see a bright future, but he'll have all the pitfalls that young players have. He needs to stay very humble, very level. He needs to concentrate on his training. He needs to try and listen to his coaches, take on a lot of information that he'll get and take it step by step.
Pivoting to the goalkeepers, what does Nick Pope give you as a goalkeeper, and how good has he been for you as Newcastle manager?
Yeah, well, I think you go right back to the start, and again, you look at the journey he's had with us. I think he's been outstanding. He is a big presence, Nick, obviously in size, but also personality. Well liked within the squad. Very humble person, works extremely hard. Very good from set plays and his physical frame and coming out and catching or punching from those situations. For me, one of the best shot stoppers, if not the best shot stopper in the Premier League. He's always had the ability historically to make big saves. So I think they're his big strengths, and we're certainly going to need them in the coming weeks.
Just finally, I don't know what you can say. You've been quite heavily linked with a move for James Trafford, the Burnley goalkeeper, to the extent that people are saying personal terms agreed. Is there anything you can say on that, please?
Well, I don't believe we're in that situation with any player, because the summer window's a long way away and we've not begun those discussions.
Thank you.
Thanks, Luke. We've got to Jordan, Joe, and then Kieran.
Morning, Eddie. Just
Morning.
on Lewis Hall, how pleased have you been with his attacking output this season, and can he improve on it as well?
Yeah, I think we've worked hard with Lewis in that respect, and he's worked hard on his game. He's done a lot of work. I can picture him now, after training, working on his crosses, his delivery, getting into those positions as well. We work a lot on relationships in the team and building those relationships, especially attacking-wise, with the players that you're playing with, so you get to know each other's game. So I think Lewis has attacked really well. He's got a number of assists. I still feel there's room for improvement. The attacking play of our fullbacks is fundamentally so important to how we play. Both players to attack and attack regularly. And yeah, we work a lot on the relationships between our wide men and our fullbacks. So Lewis can be pleased, but I know we want more.
And defensively as well, how much do you feel he's came this season in terms of that aspect of his game, and how much will that be challenged tomorrow night up against probably Mo Salah?
Yeah, I think he'll know tomorrow that he's going to have a real battle on his hands if he plays and Mohamed Salah plays. I think probably the ultimate test in the Premier League, really, if you look positionally for a left-back, is to do well against a player of his qualities. And he's got standout qualities, and the way that he plays, you sort of know what he's going to do, but it's very difficult to stop. And Liverpool find ways to get him a lot of the ball as well. So credit to him and the team for how he's performed this year. It'll be a big test for us to stop their right-hand side.
Thanks, Jordan. Joe?
Hi, Eddie. Just wondering about an update on Joe Linton and how close he is either for tomorrow or obviously Sunday's game.
Again, with Joe, similar to Sven, really improving, doing really well, pushing. And again, he's another player that will be quite close.
And how big will, if he is able to play tomorrow, will he be with that right side, with Trent and Mo Salah, his sort of defensive attributes and ball-winning attributes, how important will he be in that battle?
I think Joe's always important from a number of perspectives, and certainly defensively and defending set plays are two of those key aspects that we've missed when he's not there. He brings a physicality and a strength that when he's missing, there's an obvious presence missing in our midfield. So Joey's a massive player for us. We hope to get him fit very soon.
And final one for me, just on Harvey Barnes, he's obviously struggled to nail down a regular spot with injuries last year and the form of Anthony Gordon. What do you see as his role between now and sort of the end of the season?
Well, I see his aim should be to play regularly. He's an outstanding player. Harvey's been missed by us with his injury. He has the ability to play both sides. We're light in terms of wide men, and Harvey's absolute Premier League quality, and I always believe if Harvey plays, he'll get goals. So massive player to introduce. We're delighted he's fit. Now we need to get him back to his very best.
Thanks, Joe. Go to Kieran, Craig and Martin.
Morning. I appreciate you can't say much about the meetings you were in, but were you encouraged by what you saw, what you heard about the club's direction and strategy moving forward?
You're right, I can't say anything. And I was. I was very pleased because the ambition, the drive to be successful is still very much there from everyone connected with the club.
And you went to Anfield a couple of seasons ago and were booed off even in defeat, really got under Liverpool's skin. Is that decided the game you want to see from your team tomorrow again?
Yeah, I think we want to be competitive, and we want to. We always respect our opponents, but as soon as the whistle blows, we're there to win, and we're there to do everything in our powers to try and get that result. So I want to see that determination from the team. I don't think we saw it against Manchester City. There was a sort of an inevitability with our performance of what was going to happen, and that can't happen in any away game.
Thank you. Craig?
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
The first half on Sunday showed exactly what your team is capable of at its best. Did the second half focus minds with regard to some of those in attendance as to the need for more, the need for reinforcement after 2 years without?
I don't know. I think I can only look at it from my perspective, which I try to do, and I always trying to control what I can control. So I was disappointed personally in myself in the second half. I felt I needed to do more to try and help the team, and I always try and take that responsibility internally, because if I'm looking external all the time and we need this and we need that, if I don't get it, then I'm not directly helping the players, and that's what I always try to do in every moment. So I'll take that on myself. But of course, I think it goes without saying we haven't had investment in the team due to PSR for a number of windows, and that of course directly has a knock-on effect. I'm not blind to that fact, and I've commented on it many times. But in the meantime, I need to try and do better.
Okay, Martin?
How important are these meetings taking place at the minute, Eddie? And does there need to be major change to compete with the likes of Liverpool?
Yeah, we certainly go to the second part of Craig's question. Really, we certainly need, if we're going to catch the teams above us, we're going to need to drastically improve everything that we're delivering still, and that goes right across the board in every department of the football club, because we have so much to do to get to the top. It's not going to happen just by thinking it. It's not going to happen by willing it. We have to actually deliver it, and that takes money, that takes investment, that takes smart thinking, strategic thinking, which I know is going on at the club, but then we need to implement it all.
And along them lines, how frustrating has it been to kind of put the brakes on the club for the last 18 months?
Yeah, well, I think just in purely in terms of investment and taking the team forward, of course, we've taken a bit of a hit, and we understand that, and I acknowledge that. But it's through no one's fault, and we have to live in the world of the reality. We know that we want to take the team forward again. We're desperate to do that. We have ideas to do it, and hopefully we can make that happen in the future.
And last one, you've proven the team can compete with the top clubs. Can it compete financially with those clubs at some point in the future? And has that message been reiterated in the last few days?
I think it can in the future. In terms of an actual date for that, I think that's very difficult to predict from my perspective. But definitely, I think if there's a willingness and there's ideas and bright thinking, we can get there. It may take a bit of time because these clubs that we're talking about are way ahead of us in terms of their income. But that's all part of the club's growth, and that will take time. I think everyone would acknowledge that.
Okay, any more? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, that was Eddie Howe's presser, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Please hit the like button. Now we get into the reaction to the review of the presser. I thought it was a decent presser today, with better questions. I didn't hear Mrs. Mackham in there, so that's probably did good. But yeah, interesting questions. I guess they were having some meetings with Yasser Al Rumayyan. Interesting. It's good that he wants to meet with the manager, and have conversations, hear from his side, hear his side of the story. That's always good.
I think it was important, Chris, wasn't it? I mean, to have him at the ground to watch the Forest game. I think, there's. I know we keep saying it, but the PIF aren't literally there all the time. Excuse me, and they are, that they're worlds apart at times, and we've got to understand that. But I think to actually be at the ground and see for yourself what is required, I think it's going to get a lot of those doubts answered. And I think, as you've just heard there, without saying too much, there's obviously been a lot of talk about investment regarding the team as well as the ground. We know there's obviously a massive potential that the ground is going to be a brand new stadium rather than a redevelopment. I can't see even going to the fan consortium whether that will change. I think that is virtually on the cards now. But I think for me, what was most important is the fact that Eddie's just now more or less said, we can compete with the top, but we're never going to be with the top unless there's investment within the team. And I think, for me going forward, and I'm not sure how you guys feel, that is all we're asking for, isn't it? We're going to do a show tomorrow, which is going to highlight where we are at this present moment in time and how other teams in the same vein have invested in their squad compared to Newcastle and give some type of comparison. And I think, for me, that's a positive thing. Eddie's hands were tied regarding that question. We know that there's a lot of things that have been mentioned that obviously he couldn't go into detail about. But for me, it was very positive. The whole interview, the whole presser, if I'm honest with you, was eye-opening because there was a lot of really good questions in there.
Yeah, I thought as well.
And his demeanour from the start was completely different to what it's been the last few weeks as well, hasn't it?
He was upright, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was
bright-eyed
good.
and bushy-tailed he was.
He's not going to give anything away, but I don't expect any changes, to be fair, from what I've seen for tomorrow's game, which, to be fair, is a very important one. You gotta put in. I think we need to win it anyway. I mean, we need to go out there and try to win it. Very important for the league. So, yeah.
I think it's very important for confidence, and that what gets me though. We constantly talk. We said yesterday, and there was a lot of the lads when we were doing the Forest review. We're talking about international fullbacks. We going forward. Do you not ever worry that Tino's never mentioned? It's all Louis Saul, isn't it? It's all Miley. Yeah, we've got another right back there who's young and he's still obviously gaining his game. And like I say, because of his serious injury, he's 18 months probably behind in his ability wise. And for me, like I said, nothing he's ever mentioned about the right back situation with Trippier and how that Eddie Howe mentioned about the relationships and building relationships within the squad. Never mentioned it. Never ever mentioned Tino.
Well, I don't think Tino's on Lewis Hall's level.
No, nor me.
I think yesterday Roy was talking about the two future right back, left back. That's cool, but I don't think they're in the same level at all. So, I mean, he's not going to get the same
Tino
attention.
wasn't in Hall's class yet. As you say, Gary, the year and a half he had out has obviously put him behind, but fingers crossed, let's hope.
Dean Young here saying, do you guys think Liverpool will go full strength tomorrow? I think he may rest a few with upcoming games. What are your thoughts? Liverpool's interesting. They got a lot of good players. I mean, they could, but that center forward spot, it doesn't have much going on there. So that's something to keep an eye on. Luis Diaz. The thing is, though, if you look at their have they really rested much? Is the question, because it's a pattern with managers. Either they believe it or they don't believe in it. So I'm not sure Arnie's pattern. If he believes really in resting players, not 100% sure, to be fair. But I think if you just take a look at their lead in the table, you could assume that that he might. Because it's a comfortable lead. If they lose tomorrow, per se, which is, I mean, they lost against Forest, so it can't happen. But if they lose tomorrow, are they really going to be in that much trouble? They got 64 points. I mean, who's Arsenal playing against? That's also something to look at, because they also got European football. They play against Forest. So that's not going to be an easy game for Arsenal. Even if they happen to win it, they're still going to be in a comfortable lead. So, but I just feel like these type of teams don't really rest much, man.
Yeah, I also agree with what Kevin said there. When you look at how close they are to winning the actual title, you're when you're within a fingertip away, losing momentum by resting players and knowing full well that you can. What you've got on the bench, and you look at what Liverpool have on the bench compared to Newcastle when it comes to squad depth. You go out there to get the result, and then when lads get leggy, you bring like for like. You may need to swap it up a little bit, but they've just got far too much depth. If I'm honest with you, even their youngsters. I mean, I like Harvey Elliott for them. I think he's a great little player. Can't get in the side now. And, he would probably be a starter for a majority of teams within the Premier League. So like I said, when it comes to resting players, I think that's one of those I ain't going to rest players until the title's mine type of situation. Mathematically, nobody can get us. And like I said, we're coming into the crunch time of the Premier League. And I always say the last quarter, it's always exciting because then you've got the relegation to look at. And this season, it's totally different because it looks like the teams that are down there are going to stay there. They're not going to draw anybody else in. I think the quality in front of them is too much. But like one of the journalists said in the presser, what's really interesting now is the actual march for Champions League spots. because we are so close with the multiple teams up in is it 8th or 9th, where they're in touching distance of reaching European competition. Every game is not a given these days. And I think, the money that brings you financially is more than a cup win. And I think that's another thing that we need to look at. If we're looking at competing regarding finances, finishing in a European spot is a must. And I'm sure that is where Eddie Howe has been given the instructions from PIF. It's a must to try and get there. So, as much as we say about not giving Arnie Slot our hand regarding the team selection for the final, I still think he has to go out there with a mentality to try and get something. That's what I'm saying. For me, this is an ideal to have runners in behind because, like I say, they are, they're not quick at the back. As much as they read the game very well, Liverpool, they aren't quick. And if they do decide at Anfield to push on and work the halfway line, if we've got the players that are willing just to stay high and get the ball out to them, and I think that's what we've got to stop doing. We've got to stop doing the percentage balls when it comes to passing. Just get the ball out, get it into an area where we can run on and press in the final third. And then you don't know. Things can happen. Games can change at the turn of a hat. And, we all know, like, Nunes has had an awful year. But against Newcastle, Nunes sometimes shows his ugly face, doesn't he?
Yeah. Wayne, I'm the one muting you, man, because you keep breathing into the mic. Pull away, man. I don't want to hear your breathing, bro. Pull away. But yeah, push the mic forward. Against Liverpool, Eddie Howe said we need to have close to a perfect game. I think learning from a recent game against Man City would be useful starting point for us, where we didn't execute the aggressive plan that we wanted. Anfield is a really great, blah, blah, blah. Well,
if you ask any Liverpool supporter, out of all the competitions, which one they want to win the most, it's the Premier League. Because they win this, they go one above Man United again.
Well.
And this is the one above all the rest. They haven't got Man City. Well, you would hope they haven't got Man City to contend with this time around, although that's not a given. So, any thoughts from me of Slot resting players for tomorrow's match is for the birds. He'll be putting out what he considers to be his best team tomorrow. There'll be no easing up for the Champions League or whatever.
Well, the Champions League is more important, actually. So.
Well, it's not. Not the Liverpool fans, it's not.
But it is, though. It is.
Well, you say it is, but I'm telling you, it's not the Liverpool fans.
Well, let's do a poll with Liverpool fans and see which one gets it right.
Well, let's ask.
Liverpool and by the way, both could be true, by the way, because Liverpool has the most Champions League in English football.
Yeah, they've already got that.
So it's still very much important to them. But I do agree with the Premier League as well. It's really important, and honestly, I don't know why they can't do both. They got a deep squad, and they're one of the best. So when you're one of the best, you can do multiple things. You can multitask. You can't multitask, but other people can. So I think that they can focus on that. Now you can say that about the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup, but I've watched Liverpool channels, and they very much do not want to bottle or lose the Carabao Cup. So that's a winning mentality. You want to win everything. So don't expect that we're in the Premier League. We don't care about the final. That's not Liverpool fans' mentality. We should learn a few things from them. Peter Chick, first time seeing you here, so welcome, mate. Says, I think Newcastle can beat Liverpool. It will be a hard game. Well, that's a given. That's a given. It's not going to be an easy game. But I think it's going to be about being ruthless, to be fair. And not fighting for every ball. I mean, it's just going to be, it has to be a bear pit.
Got to be up for it, simple as.
And if we're not going to win that. So
I think it was interesting when he was asked about the formation they played against Arsenal, whether he'll play it again. And like he said, there'll be times in games where we will have to play that system again. And it wouldn't surprise me if you see it tomorrow night.
Yeah. All right. Any other points that Eddie Howe
I think
must...
you'll only see it tomorrow night if Botman's fit.
Well, it sounds like he's getting close, Win. Same as J7. And like I say, the one thing that worries me, and you mentioned it before, Chris, is Salah. I think we need to protect Lewis Hall a little bit. And that's why I think having three at the back allows the likes of Dan Burn to go and support Lewis Hall if we do get lots of one-on-ones, especially if we'll be looking at the way Gordon's playing these days and not dropping back too deep and being more focused on having that attachment to Isak. And I think that is where we've changed a little bit. And like I said, but we can't isolate Hall tomorrow because I think he'll be vulnerable against Salah. We know that. We saw him at St James's Park where he got criticised for being beaten multiple times. But at the end of the day, Salah is world class. And unless you give him protection from the likes of either J7, if he's available, to drop into that slot, like again, we've seen against Man City where he becomes our third centre-back in a way, then you're always going to be, on the back foot with Salah.
My game plan would be to stop him getting the ball.
Well, that's easier said than done, isn't it?
Well,
You know
yes,
what I mean?
obviously it's easier said than done. But it's easier to stop him getting the ball than it is to stop him once he's got the ball.
But here's the thing: you're not going to do that for the full 90 minutes.
No,
he will get the ball.
No. What he always does is drop back, to get the ball.
The problem,
at least then he's starting off from further back.
That's fine. Yeah, that's a good point. But he's going to get the ball, and eventually he's going to have an opportunity. So that's why you got to stay on him 24/7. Now, if you play like, I think I'll be contradicting myself here for the first time ever, but I think because I expect, and I don't expect any changes, but if Eddie Howe thinks the best way to beat Liverpool, beat Liverpool is with the back five like we did Arsenal, I don't think he should put that in tomorrow because that is a surprise. And if you do it tomorrow, our slot is going to say, when has he done that? Never, other than Arsenal. He's trying that for the final. And so now he's going to have that in his head. He's going to be, because that is a different method that, not a lot of teams have faces are used to. So I think that would be giving away something that, and listen, like I said, I don't really believe in that mysterious stuff, but I think that would be giving away, I think we need to, if we're going to do something like that, we need to surprise them on the day. And because if we do it tomorrow, then it's not going to be a surprise anymore. Trust me. Because we're going to go back to 4-3-3 against whoever we played against Brighton, and then on and on and on until, so I think I wouldn't do that. I mean, I would actually see on the 4-3-3 how Lewis Hall can manage Salah tomorrow. And see if he can do it, or see if Byrne can help out. God forbid Byrne get out of his box. But and then if we can do it with a 4-3-3 and 4 in the back, we could be able to do it with 5 in the back. So, and by the way, I don't, because somebody said that we don't have enough center backs to play with 5 in the back. Well, if one goes down, then you go back to 4 to 4. It's plain and simple. But I think that's it worked with Arsenal. I think it could work again. But we got to be up for it, though.
Yeah, exactly. I think the one thing we've got to be better at is defending and marking. Against teams like Liverpool, if you give them 5 yards, like we did against Forest, you're going to get punished. And I think that's what we've got to be better at. And I think the only way you can confidently, with our squad at the minute, with our back line, do that is by having 3 centre-backs, where you just say to likes of Fabian Schär, that is your player, mark him. Doesn't matter what else you do with the ball, that is your player, don't lose him. And I think, we've seen that against Arsenal where he goes all over the pitch. We saw him literally in the final third at times, following his player. Us as fans and watching the game live, you start questioning why he's so high, because he's, like Eddie says, he's following the letter that he's been asked to do. and sometimes he probably does it too much because, like I say, he follows him all the way around the park. And like I said, as long as everybody else knows their job, and I think for me, that is going to be the fundamental thing. If we lose the early goal, it's how we react mentally. If we get the same response as we did against Nottingham Forest, great. But for me, it's the ideal situation where you go 5-3-2 and play with your two speed guys up front. And like I say, work the channels. You've got two young lads as wing backs with cover behind you. You've got your two solid midfielders that'll just sit. One will go, and then you've got your two speed guys up front. And I think why a system like that, where you can just give the ball a little bit of a hoof and try and get into the pockets behind them and get them turned, you can create all sorts of problems.
That is our biggest problem of all. And that was highlighted second half on Sunday. Not giving the ball a hoof. Constantly wanting to play it out. Got us into a lot of trouble on Sunday afternoon. Instead, there was umpteen occasions where they had the opportunity just to
clear the ball. Yeah.
And they didn't.
Mm. Well, yeah, but also giving the ball away, I mean...
Well, not necessarily. You don't know what's going to happen. If you just hoof it, you're
No,
not necessarily giving it away.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's where you play it, isn't it?
I'm talking about giving the ball away. It cost us a lot as well, which is not trying to play from the back.
Yeah, in our third.
Murphy had 10 giveaways, I guarantee you. I mean, by himself.
Well, they all did though, Chris. I've had a look at all of the players. You know, so, Bruno had something like 12 misplaced passes, same as Murphy. Lewis Miley had 8. Gordon had something like 7. You know, all across the park there was balls given away because it was the percentage balls, and it's when to play. And again, this is where I said, you know, you look at Tino. Everybody's going to blame Murphy. Should Tino, who had the ball in his hand, thrown it to Murphy when he had other players that he could have thrown to? Should, you know, Gilmaras, as captain, made a movement from where Murphy was running from to give him an outlet regarding a throw? There's so many points that you can actually nitpick if you're going to go as fine as that to say who was the guilty party. Because at the end of the day, I think there was probably 9 out of the 11 players was guilty at some point of giving a silly ball away.
Yeah. Let's go with some comments before we go then. Kevin Bale, we definitely have the ability to get at them. I just don't think we'll ever get enough control of the game in the midfield to enable the forwards to be effective. We'll be under pressure a lot. Here's, the thing is game management. That is the issue. That is the issue for me. It's not scoring goals. It's the game management. And we have not been good at it. When we're playing against good teams and we have the lead, or bad teams, whatever you want to call it. It's just that's the issue. That's my concern. We're not going to score 4 goals against Liverpool. Hopefully, I'm wrong, but we're not going to. But when we do against Forest, we had difficulties at the end. So if we score 2 goals, 1 goal against Liverpool, you might have to call it a day. Can we do that? Can we call it a day with having a 1-goal lead?
No,
we're gonna have to work real hard.
No, so exactly. You know, you continue doing what it is that's giving you the 1-goal lead.
Yeah, we're not gonna score. We're not gonna score 4 or 5 goals against Liverpool and then keep on scoring 10 goals. We're not gonna do that. So we clearly didn't do it. We had an aggressive plan, according to Eddie. Let's just see what Eddie's talking about. I didn't see the aggressive plan, but apparently we had an aggressive plan. Well, we aggressively let them score 4 goals. So,
But we'll let them score 3.
Okay, that's last time I thought we were 4-0 down, but okay. And
against
Forest,
City, you know about.
Against City, sorry, yeah. And Forest 3 as well. So I mean, it's that is the main issue. That listen, man, it might cost us, but hopefully we can get it right. Hopefully we can fix it. Hopefully Eddie's working on it. And because we every team has to learn how to be pragmatic at some point. Every team. There's not a single team in the world that just goes gun-ho and that's it. That's the only way of playing. Because it's not sustainable. You got to have – the players get tired. That intensity is my identity. It's all about until the 70th minute. Then I'm tired. Because, I mean, Nobody can keep running and being intense and trying to go for the ball all the
But
time.
that's
It's-
exactly what we used to do.
No, Win. No. It's
We used to run
impossible for the
teams into
human.
the ground. 22, 23, that was exactly what we did. We
You're
could
talking
keep
about
on,
one season, man. You keep living off that one season. It's not happening no more.
because that was the best season we've had.
Okay, well, that's fine.
Because
But
we were
the fact of the matter is we
were
can't keep it
super
up.
fit, and we ran other teams into the ground. We knew
So-
even if they stayed with us for an hour, 65 minutes, eventually we would get on top, which is what we did, time and time again.
But then you've got to question whether that was the responsible reason for the
was
injuries
that,
this season.
Was that the reason for
You
the
know what I mean?
injuries? Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
absolutely. You know, that's perfectly valid.
And that's what I said.
we're not
Sometimes
doing it.
no. I think you know we've seen there's been a massive difference of our identity this season because there's been games where we've actually turned up with no identity whatsoever. And that's what I said. If you're buying players for a certain system and a style, then you've got to stick with the style. It doesn't matter who you're playing against because they can only play one way. When you're asking them to change their attitude and the perception of a game, a player can't change like that. You know, they have one way of playing. And that's what I said. If you look at the way 3 of our players got turned inside out because they didn't commit to the ball, they committed to the thought of the ball being out and running at goal. So the defensive duties just stopped. And I think that's what I said. If you want a defensive side, then you've got to buy defensive players. If you want an attacking side, then we've already got them.
I don't know why I mean, I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know that we can just learn how to control a game. They don't need defensive players. I mean, we just need to know how to control a game. You realize every goal that everybody scores, it's a goal that, man, you want to, like, it makes your head explode, man. Why do we let these goals in like that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like if you tighten up a little bit, it could just make it difficult for the opposition.
But that's what I said. You've only got to have one person that constantly, and I'll chink in the armour there. You've only got to have one person out of position 2 or 3 times causes and creates doubt from other players. We saw Tonali against Man City trying to move over to the left back position to try and support Hall the other week. What that does then is bring everybody else across. Then we were vulnerable on the other side. So, unfortunately, players that are having to cope or try and sort an issue out on the park because of a lack of ability. And, you know, Shah against Forest, we highlighted a couple of times where, you know, they had to change places. One has to go to, instead of going on Chris Wood, Dunburn then goes on to Milenkovic because he was the one that was causing problems, even though that was Fabian Shah's player. And I think sometimes, you know, one person can create a multitude of sins. And it's how the team then deals with that individual. And as the manager got somebody that can come in and replace it, because I think that is the element.
Yep. Well, we shall see what happens tonight. Don't forget, 9:30 UK. We got the match preview, opposition preview with Jamie Phillips, Liverpool Chats, Liverpool fan, coming back tonight at the channel to discuss all things tomorrow's match, all things Liverpool Newcastle. At Enfield. So we shall see. We'll get his perspective on how things are going. Mighty Way's supposed to be working on a Brighton fan on the weekend. I don't know how successful he's going to be because, you know.
Get him out that room.
Man. But anyways, so please hit the like button before you go. Please get the new membership upgrade and put the link in order at the end. Put the link for the other channel. What other channel, man? We got no other channel? What's wrong with you? We actually do got another channel that's for clips, so check that out. NUFC Talk TV as well. NUFC Talk TV 2. But all the links are in the description. Become a member. Help us out. Here, I'm going to put the link for the membership right there. Become a member there if you're not, or upgrade your membership if you're already one. And, there you go. That's the
Alan
link right
Thompson,
there.
have you seen that? We should play 8-1-1.
8-1-1, exactly. 8 attackers. And, exactly. How lads.
Oh,
You all
love
look
that.
terrified of Liverpool. No wonder we got beat off Man City. If the fans are like this, the fans got nothing to do with that. What? Fans ain't got nothing to do. It's 11 players and it's against 11 players. Those 11 players look terrified, not us. We got nothing to do with that, man. So there you go. There's a link right there to become a member. Please do that. Upgrade.
There was actually a question on earlier on. Somebody said, "How long do I have to be a member to get the badges?"
He's joking, man. How long do I have to get a member to get Wins Face next to me? There isn't Wins Face. It's all football legends, man. He's not a Toon legend. He's just a twat.
He's
that
just
came
an
off the street.
NUFC talk legend.
Yeah.
He's known
But-
in Carlisle, you know.
But there is. By the way, we met the same guy outside my hotel, which is crazy. But we got one more emoji slot available, so maybe if we win a title, we'll put the crown on my Wins face.
Marty
And
Rain.
if you're a member for like 48 months or something, or longer than that, you get that one. That's above Alan Shearer.
I'm gonna
So
say
we're
he
talking
should be
about
above Alan Shearer.
That's talking some serious business right there.
Let's do it. We'll win the treble this year.
Anyways, folks, cheers, and we will see you tonight, 9:30 p.m. Come on, all of you, join us tonight for the match preview. Thank you very much. We'll see you in the next one. How are the lads?
How are the lads?
Lassies and bands.